Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Shawn here with Accelerators Organization, ready for another mentor session. If you want to submit a question, just to go into the mobile application or the portal and ask your question. And remember, if you want to know how we answer questions, just go into the portal, click on the start section, and there's a video talking about the better answer. Okay, so here we go with the first question. We got a bunch today. First question comes from Ricardo, and Ricardo says, I'm interested in learning what I need to sell my business in the future. I want to know what to have do or done, I guess, when selling a business. How do you price your business and what should I be organizing throughout the years? The background is I own a barbershop and noticed that some people in my industry who need to exit eventually close their business. I'm looking to avoid doing this and sell the business versus having to close down. By asking questions, I can start doing what's necessary to be able to sell it when I need to or want to. Thank you. Okay, I've got a bunch of mentors answering this, and I think some already have, Ricardo. Every industry and every type of business is very unique and different based on when they want to exit the business. If I owned a barber shop and I wanted to find out what was needed to sell a barber shop, I would definitely reach out to every Facebook group, in every conference that I could go to, nationwide type conference where barbers and barbershop owners come together and share ideas. And I would talk to as many barbers that have bought or sold businesses, barbershops in the past, because that's going to be the number one indication of what barbershop owners do when it comes to buying and selling their business. And they're going to help you be able to figure out what multiple, whether it's a multiple of sales, a multiple of profits, what is going to be the multiple that the valuation is established by. Now, generally speaking, when it comes to buying or selling a business, we want to have very clean financial statements, profit and loss statement, and balance sheet, up to date, in order, because the person purchasing the business, if they know what they're doing and they have counsel, they're going to go into the profit and loss statement and balance sheet to see if it's up to date, accurate, and clean. Usually it's great to have 3 years of financial statements that are clean with accompanying tax returns so that someone can get a real good idea of what the business is doing. Now, what a lot of people are doing when buying a business is trying to establish what the cash flow of the business is as it relates to an owner-operated business, which would be what I would think when people buy barbershops. A barber is going to buy a barbershop because they're going to manage it and operate it. So if you actually work in the barbershop and draw an income as a barber in addition to your owner compensation, you'll want to illustrate and be able to spell that out, that if you work in the barbershop, you're going to get this compensation plus the compensation from the other barbers and merchandise and product, etc. So they're going to be looking at what the cash flow is as well. So that's what I would be looking at. I would put together 3 years of tax returns in an owner-operated buy-sell situation. And my barber went through this, so I watched him do it. They usually will groom another barber to take over the barbershop and sell it to them. And a lot of times barbers don't have the upfront cash to do it. So they will do some sort of down payment with an earn out, like a monthly payment, to end up purchasing the business over time. That's what I've seen, but I would go out to the barbershop world. You might even talk to some business brokers, but my guess from my experience is that business brokers, that barbershops are a very unique industry in which there's a lot of buying and selling among barbers themselves. Okay? Hope that helps. Next question comes from Kimberly, and Kimberly says, how much should you start off paying your personal assistant? The background is recently I've realized the necessity of having a personal assistant to aid me in submitting applications while I focus on sales. Given the nature of my work, clients might face rejections from one company, prompting me to apply to various others on their behalf. This process consumes a significant amount of time. So I've decided to hire someone to streamline it. My role would primarily involve reviewing the applications to ensure accuracy. However, I'm uncertain about the appropriate compensation for this role, especially since it's my first time hiring someone. While I have a clear idea of the tasks involved in the insurance business, I'm unsure if the proposed payment of $1,500 per month is adequate or excessive. Ideally, I aim to increase the monthly compensation to $2,500 to $3,500 as I become more comfortable with the arrangement. I've communicated to the assistant that reaching a monthly application count of 60 to 80 would justify this increase in payment. Any advice on navigating this process would be greatly appreciated. Okay. So when we are hiring our first person, here is just the way it usually works. We are going to try to get somebody to work for us for as cheap as possible. That's just the nature of being a new entrepreneur. So whatever you can get someone to work for you and do a good job of what you want them to do for the least amount of money, that's how much you should pay them. It's just the way it works. Now, since you're going a little bit more informal, I think if you can find someone to work for you, even if it's 5, 10, 20 hours a week for $1,500 a month, that's a steal. That's a steal, especially if they're local and you can meet with them to be able to exchange applications and all that stuff. I would just make sure that I'm crystal clear on what they're going to be doing, get them crystal clear trained to be able to do their job adequately and well, and then, have the ongoing communication with them. Whatever you can pay them is going to be based on whatever you can afford. That's the way it usually works in the beginning. As you start to free up more of your time, and that results in you being able to have more sales activities and drive new higher levels of compensation to the business, then you can start to pay them more as you deem, fit. But generally speaking, that's the way it goes. You get somebody for as low as you can, and then you just kind of grow together. My only thing for this, Kim, is this. A lot of people will hire someone to offset a lot of the administrative burden, but it will not result in additional income. So if you are doing all the work yourself right now and getting it done, but it's a pain in the ass, if you hire her for $1,500 a month and your income stays the same, then you're going to take a hit for $1,500 a month. So I would watch my revenues and say, listen, am I able to increase my income to the business, to me personally, same thing, when I hire this person? And if so, then that's a positive effect on the business. The only other way to look at it is no, I'm paying $1,500, still making the same amount of money, but now I have more free time to spend with my family or social time. So that's the offset. Okay, hope that helps. Okay, the next question comes from Matul, and he says, how to launch my idea. The background is my idea is to create a platform where direct-to-consumer brands can work with micro-influencers with only 1,000 followers. The idea is to create content at scale for the direct-to-consumer brands while not having to pay monthly out of pocket and just offer a discount. The micro-influencers get a chance to work with brands of their chance and show off their skills to brands so that when they have enough traction, they can move on to paid collaborations. My idea is to make this happen through a debit card program where influencer need not store money but must use it at the direct-to-consumer store. In order to talk to an embedded finance program to do this, they require I work with VCs or show enough traction. To work with brands, they want to typically see the number of influencers we have signed up. To work with influencers, I need brands. How would you start with this idea? Is making an early bird waitlist an option? How to approach these influencers at scale? Is there an embedded finance or BaaS solution you could introduce me to? Okay, this is a lot. So this feels like you're not looking to launch your idea. You're still trying to figure out if this idea is feasible. And you and I actually just had a long conversation on the phone about this. So I'm going to try not to repeat myself. I'll just kind of sum up what you and I talked about. You definitely can see in your question that the concern and challenge you have is how do you get brands to sign up and get influencers to sign up in the beginning? That's always a very difficult situation when you're trying to prove the concept. Proving the concept stage of any business is always the hardest part. So what you're trying to create right now is what's going to be your business model. So you've got influencers out there, new influencers with under 1,000 followers that are just starting out, and they want to try to learn how to start creating great user-generated content so that they can start making some money. And the way to do that is to find brands that they like and have them produce content for those brands, and in exchange for producing content for those brands, get a discount on that brand's product or service. I would try to prove out that concept. Maybe you create a Facebook group for influencers and you start getting all these micro influencers, like the micro influencer community, where we all learn together on how to make money and how to create user-generated content and build our brands, right? Build our own personal brands. Okay, so maybe that's one approach. But the whole idea here is you've got to find a way to get those brands to pay these micro influencers to put together this content, and you want to create a platform. So you and I talked about that I don't like the idea of you building a business that doesn't have guaranteed income coming to you. So who's going to pay you? We talked about you wanting to get paid by every time an influencer uses those discount codes to buy something from the brand, that you get a piece of that. I don't like that business model because it's not stable enough. So right now, what you and I talked about is maybe you working with brands to help brands use your software platform to reach out to direct micro influencers, to get micro influencers to create content, and you get the brands to pay you to help that process. Right now, I would try a lot of different things to see what's going to get people to start paying you to do something for them, right? What is the clear business need out there in the marketplace? Is it influencers needing discounts on product? Probably not. It's brands needing great user-generated content at a low cost in order for them to grow their brand. That's probably the biggest need. There's always going to be micro influencers and that are looking to make some extra money, or maybe even build their personal brand to make a lot of money. My guess is that the business has the largest need, and as every entrepreneur, their problem is always, how do I get my business going with the least amount of money that I have? And so maybe you can start providing a cost-effective yet profitable solution to brands to get those micro influencers so they can start growing their brands and getting named out there. That would be my guess for what you want to try to do. You using this debit card and working with a bank and making your money off of the piece of what influencers buy from the brands, I personally just don't think that's a sustainable business model. Okay, so food for thought. I hope that helps. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get any other mentors to answer this question specifically, because this question requires a lot more conversation. So when you have questions like this, feel free to just shoot me a message, and maybe we can jump on the phone for 5 or 10 minutes and I can help you, navigate how to ask a more clear, concise question that's easier for the other mentors to answer, okay? All right, next question comes from Jennifer, and Jennifer says, what are the contract documents I need to run an art gallery company that provides, consignment arts and crafts sells, weekly instructional art classes and weekend workshops, along with off-site paint and sip parties at homes, restaurants, wineries, and other places. Okay, and that's what you put as the description as well. I think, let's see. Well, the description is an art gallery company that provides consignment arts and sells weekly instructional classes along with offsite painting. I'm asking because I purchased this business under the impression that the documents and stuff were in place, only to find out it was all intertwined with the owner's personal life and not really professional at all. Okay, great. Okay. So when I read this, I say, you ask, what are the contract documents? It'd be very difficult for somebody to say what are the answer that question in that way. Whenever I need a contract, sometimes I do one of two things depending on how much money I have. Generally speaking, you can get a lot of templates for contracts for whatever state you're in off of LegalZoom, and if you just do a Google search for just contracts. Now, the pros and cons of that are it's going to be inexpensive, and you can modify the contract based on what you want, which a lot of us small business owners that start off do, but it might not be actually legal if you ever had to try to enforce the contract, but at least for all practical purposes, you get somebody to sign a contract, and hopefully they'll honor it. So you could try to do it yourself and go to LegalZoom or other online templates for agreements that you need. You could also join art shop owners or gallery owners out there in the world. I bet there's a lot of Facebook groups and things like that, and you could reach out into those Facebook groups and say, hey, I own a new gallery. I have artists that will consign their art to me, and I will sell their art, and I get paid a commission for the art that gets sold. I'm looking for a sample agreement that I can use for my gallery, and I'll bet there's one out there, and somebody in that community might share one. So that would be a way. The other way is to get an attorney. Go to your attorney and say, here is my situation. I'm a gallery. I want to have consignments, explain it, and the attorney can draft up that contract for you to sign on behalf of the gallery and the artist. So that's the first contract. The other contract you talk about is weekly instructional art classes and weekend workshops. So would this be contracts, or would this just be simply waivers, maybe liability waivers if needed, sign-up forms, or even is a contract of any type even needed? What I always say is, I think about the situation. If I'm going to have somebody come to a weekly instructional art class, well, if I'm going to put on a class, I might say I could put together just a flyer, and you could use a software called Canva, Canva.com, and there are sample promotional flyers and things like that in there. And you could say, here is what you are going to get in the class. We are going to do this, 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 this. Here's where it's going to be. Here's the time. Here's the cost. And here's what you can expect when you go through the class. And you could spell that out in a flyer. Then when someone shows up, if you need a waiver, a lot of time, I don't know if you need actually a liability waiver or anything like that. If you need a waiver, just like the previous answer, you could go on and try to find a waiver online and then customize it to what you need. Or you can talk to an attorney and say, here is my concern as a teacher, where is my liability and what kind of waiver should I put together? And an attorney would be able to say, well, this is your potential liability. Let's put together a form for you to get people to sign when they show up, right? So that's how I would handle that. Okay, next thing would be off-site paint and sip parties at homes, restaurant, wineries. Same thing. If I am going to a client, whether it's a home, a winery, a restaurant, or other place, they're probably hiring me to come in and do an on-site painting. I'm basically talent, if you will. So do they have a contract that I sign as a talent because they're hiring me? Or do I present them with a contract that spells out, here is what I'm going to provide, when, how, deliverables, everything, cost, etc. And then they sign it, I sign it, and they write me a check. So once again, you could put together online, do it yourself. Just find a sample services agreement, a very simple services agreement. This is what I'm going to do. This is what you're going to do. This is how much it costs. When is payment due? How are you going to pay me? And we both sign it. So those are relatively simple to put together as well. So that's how I handle any type of contract or agreement. In the beginning days, I would go online and just steal other people's contracts and then customize it to myself. And I knew the risk of, if I had to actually sue somebody based on that contract, I probably wasn't going to win, because I really wasn't an attorney and I wasn't going to sue somebody for $500 or $1,000 anyway. So a lot of times the contract is just not even really that big of a deal, but I still did it. Or I get an attorney when I start to make a little bit of money. I get an attorney on retainer, and whenever I need a contract, we have a conversation. I explain what it is I want, what I need. He asks me a bunch of questions, or she asks me a bunch of questions, and then they put together the contract for me, and then I'm good to go. All right? I hope that helps. Okay, next question comes from Jennifer. And Jennifer says, I need to create a logo. What is the best quality and cheapest way to do this? The background is try to fix and update an art company. Okay, so we just covered this on the last weekly Zoom last Sunday, so I know that you were on that. So we probably covered this question for you. In order to get a good logo put together, we obviously we want to make sure that we have our brand strategy done. We want to know what we do, how we do it, what our core values are, what's the uniqueness of our business, what makes us unique, and then who's the target customer. And then the graphic designer can then start to put together what's called a brand identity kit, which is the logo, your colors, and all that. Because if you are a fun, playful type of company, then you're going to want to have fun, playful type colors. If you're a dark, deep secret, gothic type company, you're going to have very different colors. And so depending on those 5 things of a brand strategy, that's what they're going to need to know in order to put together a logo. Now, sometimes the cheapest isn't always going to get you the best. So you're always going to have some sort of give and take with high quality, how quick you get it, and how much you pay. You're not going to get the highest quality for the cheapest, and you're not going to get the most expensive really, really quick, right? So there's always a give and take in those 3 areas: quality, time it takes to get it, and cost. What I always recommend is, and you can talk about this on the weekly Zoom, can your business get away with what's called like a typeface logo, which is just font? So think about Gucci, Chanel, the name of your business, right? Can it just be a font and that is your logo? And you don't have to spend any money hiring a graphic designer to do a logo, right? Once you have the name of your company, if you want something inexpensive and you run the risk of maybe not getting a $100,000 agency or someone as amazing as Cliff at Unlimited Fix to do it, you could try to go to Fiverr online and say, here's my company, here's what I do, I need a logo, here's the name. And then a lot of those people on Fiverr will use clip art and very template type of logos, but you might get something that will be good enough for now. So it just really depends on answering those questions. Okay, hope that helps. All right, next question comes from Aaron, and Aaron says, how to reach and appeal to cash-rich, time-poor potential customers. The background is I've developed a pioneering DNA testing service that provides comprehensive insights into an individual's genetic blueprint. This enables us to offer tailored advice on exercise regimes, dietary plans, supplement intake, and lifestyle adjustments for a healthier, happier, and stronger life. Building on this, we provide personalized fitness consultancy and coaching services, whether the goal is weight loss, fitness improvement, muscle gain, or any other fitness aspiration. Our monthly programs are designed to meet these diverse needs. Our service is particularly suited to professionals with busy schedules or individuals keen on leveraging their genetic predispositions to achieve their fitness goals more efficiently. However, I find myself at a crossroads in identifying and engaging with this target audience effectively. Previously, I engaged an agency to implement targeted Facebook and Instagram advertising campaigns complemented by a sales funnel page and dedicated sales calls for lead conversion. Despite our efforts in refining the strategy, the campaign didn't yield the desired results, leading to its discontinuation after 4 months. This experience has prompted me to reconsider the efficacy of Meta as a marketing platform and to explore other avenues like LinkedIn, which might align better with our target demographic. Moreover, it's led me to question the viability of the concept itself. Given the complexity of reaching and appealing to the intended audience, I'm eager for your insights, although I'm aware of the broad nature of my question. Okay, so let's go back, because the first thing that I started to ask myself was, I've developed a pioneering DNA testing service. So when I hear that, I think of companies like 23andMe, which created these DNA tests, right? Well, if you created a DNA test, then why aren't you selling that DNA test to other coaches and other people out in the world that just want to know their predispositions, just like 23andMe? It's $1 billion company, I think. So why don't you just sell this pioneering DNA test kit? Because there's millions of people that just might want to take the test, even though they might not want to work out or do anything based on the test. But who cares? Because you're getting paid your money for the test that you developed. Now, don't be like that lady who went to jail for the blood test that she was doing, that she lied to her investors. Don't be that woman. But you understand what I'm saying? But if you're using a DNA testing service that gets results for a client, and then based on those results, your service is putting together a plan to help them get results, there's lots of, let's face it, most highly successful people, want to be healthy. And we join gyms, we hire personal trainers, and we get out there and we do things. We hire dietitians, nutritionists, and so forth. I always say this: if you have a very certain clientele that you want to reach, and let's imagine it's XYZ person, and that XYZ person wants to become healthy and get in good shape and do the things, get the results of the things you do. If I am that person, where am I going to find a solution? Where? Google, Facebook, a doctor, a nutritionist, friends, a gym. Where am I going to seek guidance and help? And that is where I want to be. I want to be wherever people are going to seek guidance. And if it's a few things, then I want to be everywhere. Look at brands like Coca-Cola, Apple. They advertise everywhere because they want their name in front of people, because usually people do not buy the first time they see an ad. They might buy after the 5th, 6th, 7th time. I can tell you right now, for AO, I've had my page for 7 years on Ask a Millionaire on Instagram, and people will join AO and say, I have been following you for years, and this one thing finally got me to sign up. So think about it that way. Advertising and marketing is all about repetition and consistency, so that finally one day when someone sees that ad, they go, I've been meaning to do this. I've been meaning to buy this. Today's the day. If you're not there, they won't do it. And it takes time. Most people, if I run ads on Facebook for AO, which I did for 4 months, just like you did, and I got 0 results, I realized that my strategy was wrong. I was hoping that I was going to do an ad on Facebook and Instagram with a 7-day trial offer and people would just sign up. Did not work out. It takes building awareness, doing webinars, having phone calls to get people to trust that what I'm selling is something that is worth trying. They didn't want to just look at the ad and purchase. So my next strategy this year that I'm bringing out is going to be completely different. So it could be just that your strategy was wrong. Maybe you needed a brand awareness campaign, which showcased the amazingness of your DNA testing and what it does and how and why it's important, and then give some third-party resource material that shows why it is and all that. And then once you keep building up the brand awareness, then you run some additional retargeting that says, hey, would you like to book an appointment for a free consultation? And then you do a free consultation, and then people go, gosh, you really know what you're doing. You go, yeah, for my clients, I do this, and this is how much we charge. If you'd ever like to get something like that, reach out to me. And it's a traditional sales model. So it could be that you're not doing the advertising long enough, which is very difficult when we're all on a budget. And it could be that maybe your strategy needs to be tweaked a little bit. And it could be that you're just like your clients aren't on Facebook. And LinkedIn is a very, very difficult place to advertise and make money. Believe me, I've talked to so many people that have tried it. It's a great place to get connections. But ultimately, what you have to say, and I'll bet if I was having a conversation with you, you would say, the majority of people that sign up, I have to talk to them and really get to know them and explain what they do and understand what they're trying to accomplish and all that. It takes real conversation and maybe even 1 or 2 or 3 conversations before they finally sign up, because I'm not a low ticket offer. You just probably need more leads, more phone calls, more working your sales funnel, and always constantly be getting more leads into your sales funnel. That would be my guess. But are you a DNA testing company, or are you using a DNA test to service and create plans for your clients? That's what I would want to know. Okay? Hope that helps. All right. Next question comes from Jamie. And Jamie says, I am new to AO. What are the top 3 things I can do to get a jump start on getting my business and overall life better? I am a baker and a licensed massage therapist, so I love both and want to build them. I am currently pregnant and due in May, so I'm kind of feeling in limbo right now, but I'm ready to make a change. I'm ready to change my life in future to what I want it to be. Well, welcome, Jamie. I'm so glad, and I know that we're going to be talking this week. So welcome to AO. These are great conversations to have on the weekly Zooms. A lot of times we just need to hash out and have conversations around these whole topics just to kind of get an idea of what direction we want to go. But I will say this based on your question. It's very difficult when you're an individual solopreneur to serve 2 masters. It's very difficult to build a massage therapy business and build a bakery business, because most people would go all in on building massage therapy business, and most people would go all in on a bakery business. So every time you take your attention away from one, somebody else is all in, and they're going to win because they're all in. And if it's just you, every time you take your attention away, the other business is going to suffer. So the conversations I've had with people over the years is maybe something is a hobby and then something is a business. Okay, so that's one way to look at it. But you're in the right spot over time to help you start narrowing in on what's going to help you accomplish the big goal that you have. What I always start with is, what is it that you want to accomplish? Because I want to know what the goal is. And then as a mentor and somebody who's been through it, I can say, well, here's the actions that you would have to take to actually get this in the time frame that you want. And you have to be willing to do both. If you replay the session that we had last Sunday, Jennifer and I had a fun back and forth debate on this. And if there's a saying, if you want something new, you have to do something new, because there's that definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So we always have to match what we want with what we're willing to do, right? And sometimes what we're willing to do doesn't match up with what we can do because I'm pregnant. I got obligations on myself. I can't do certain things. Well, what can you do and how can we maximize the time that you have and the resources you have in order to determine what you can actually achieve in a certain time frame? So over time on these weekly Zooms, my job as a mentor and a coach isn't to coddle you. My job is to push you farther than you've ever been pushed to figure out where and when you're going to break, because most people have never, unless they've played sports, have never been pushed by a coach to figure out where the limit is. And we got to find out what that limit is to figure out what it is if you can actually achieve that big goal that you have. So that's my job. So be prepared for it. You know, I always come from a place of love and of caring, of wanting you to succeed. But my job is not to go, oh, everything's going to be fine. My job is to say, get to work, do it. No excuses, no complaining. Let's get this done. Because we got to find out what you're capable of. And if you already know that, then it's going to make it even that much easier. All right. So great question. Get on the weekly Zooms and keep having this dialogue. Okay. Glad you're at AO finally. Okay, next question comes from Kimberly, and Kimberly says, how much time should I spend training my new personal assistant? I hired her a week ago, and I'm excited to get back to work to cover her salary comfortably, but she's struggling with some tasks like filling out contracts properly. I've spent the past week going over everything with her, but I want to know how to make it easier for her to understand. It seems simple to me, but I want to avoid spending too much time training her if I can't focus on making money. Any advice how to help her learn faster? Listen, as managers and people hiring people, we have to make sure that the person has the skill set to do the job. If somebody doesn't have the skill set to do the job, they're going to fail, period. And it doesn't matter how much teaching, how much learning, how much anything. If somebody just doesn't have the skill, they're going to fail, which is going to frustrate you. You're going to lose time, you're going to lose money, and it's a failure all around. So we have to be sure that we are hiring people that actually possess the skill set. Okay. Secondly, the answer to your question, how much time should I spend training my new personal assistant? As much as needed. You know what I mean? But we have to do a good job training to make sure that somebody can do the job. So if they have the skill and now they're just learning, they're learning what it is they're doing, and you're teaching them, whether it's a day, a week, 2 weeks, put in as much time as you can so that that person can do their job effectively for you. That frees up your time. So every job is different, but you want to take out as much time as needed to effectively train that person to succeed for you. This is one of the most frustrating things to a startup new entrepreneur that is hiring. We are so used to just doing everything ourselves because we know how, that when we hire somebody, we want to treat them like they're a computer. Hey, do this, get it done, I'll see you later. It just doesn't work that way in the beginning unless you're hiring multi-millionaire people that know how to do things better than you. When you're first starting out and you're hiring new people that are still learning, it's frustrating because we want to be off doing other things, and I don't want to be sitting here doing the work that I want you to do. I could just do it myself and then go. I don't want to sit here all day and keep teaching you. This is the emotion we go through. So spend the time, be nice, be patient. Remember, people learn different ways. Some read it, some listen, some do, some teach. There's levels to how people learn. Our job is to figure out how they learn, teach them, keep at answering questions that they'll have. If you show somebody how to do something and then they have to ask you how to do it again, could you have created a process that was documented so that instead of coming to you, they go to the process and the process tells them how to do it? If so, do that. If they come back a third time after you've shown them, you have to start questioning, can this person do the job? And if they can't, you got to fire quick because it's only going to cost you more time and more frustration. So That's the answer that I would give you based on all the people I've hired and fired over my years in business, okay? Okay, the next question. How can I maintain a consistent pace of work with my assistant, ensuring productivity even when I'm not present? Background. I've recently hired my first assistant and observed that she's most productive when I'm present. However, when I'm not around, she doesn't follow simple instructions like texting me upon completing tasks from the to-do list. I want to ensure comfort while maximizing our investment. Her primary role is to submit applications on my behalf while I attend client meetings. Okay, if you set up clear expectations, so if you say, Jennifer, when you're done with every application, I want you to send me a text message and let me know it's done. Do you understand? Yes. Great. If she doesn't do it, you got to find out why. Jennifer, did you finish it? I see that you finished this application. You didn't text me. Why didn't you text me? Oh, I forgot. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Okay, wait a second. Jennifer, here is the deal. Here's the process. When you finish an application, you have to text me so I know it's done. Can you do that? Yes. Will you do that? Yes. If she doesn't do it again, give her a warning. If she doesn't do it again, fire her on the spot, because it ain't going to change. So it's either she can't do the job and you have to train her to do the job, or two, she doesn't respect you enough to do the job. Now, the only other caveat is this. We don't want to just set up processes that tell people I don't trust you and I want to micromanage you because I'm afraid you're going to do something wrong and it's going to affect me. People want to be respected and trusted. So ask yourself, am I asking someone to do something because I have fear and I'm putting that on them and it's making everything uncomfortable? So have a good conversation and make sure that the processes that you want, she can follow and will, because if she doesn't, then she's being subordinate and should be fired, okay? Because that's not going to change, okay? Hope that helps. With all your questions, it sounds like you're really going through it with this girl. Okay, next question comes from Jeff, and Jeff says, preparing for income change. The background is, how did you budget for hires? It's definitely a mindset change for me. I have concerns are about changing my personal pay. Right now, all the money made is mine and I don't really separate it. I haven't always been used to a high income. Last year was my largest year with a gross of 220 and a net of 180. I love the life I provide my family, but I'm losing more and more hours at home. What's the best way to prepare for the change? My business is a home inspection company and I'm solo right now preparing for my first hires this year. Thank you. Love this question, Jeff. It's something that all of us go through, so welcome to growth. I'll start off this, and I've talked with you, but I'll start off answering this question by saying, if the motivation is to build a company of which you're no longer doing home inspections, but you're managing a team, and then you're running a business, then there's one solution. If you just say, I want to make $180,000 a year and I'm happy just doing everything, then maybe you don't hire anybody. But you're asking, so you obviously want to grow the business. So being that you want to grow the business, and this is where you're at of how you handle the finances, is this. In the beginning, you want to hire people that are going to allow you to bring in more income. So there's two ways. One is, do you hire a salesperson that keeps selling more home inspections so that all the time that you spend on selling, you're just out doing home inspections all day and they're out selling and keeping you busy. That's one way. And you pay that person and you're getting more business. The other way is you're okay with the amount of home inspections that are coming in, but now you're taking away time from your family because you go out and do home inspections all day and then you're spending all night doing administrative work and on the weekends and you have no time with your family. Well, so here's the dilemma that you face there. If you hire an administrative person to take off the administrative burden so that you can spend time with your family, then your income is going to be decreased and it's not going to be offset by new sales. Because let's just say, for instance, you're doing 5 inspections a day and you can't do more than 5 inspections a day. And then you're spending night and the weekend doing administrative work. If you hire an administrative person to take over the administrative burden, you're still doing 5 inspections a day, which is the same amount of income, which means then if you pay them $4,000 a month, you're taking $48,000 a year out of your pocket. But now you have more personal time with your family. But that's not growth, right? That's just freeing up more time. So that's got to be offset by, I got to go from 5 inspections to 10 inspections or however many more to offset the expense that I now have, so that the net effect is I'm paying $50,000 to make an additional $100,000. So if you made 220 gross with 180,000 net, if you hire this person at $50,000 a year, but now you do $350,000 minus 50, that's 300,000, and your net's 140 or 240. That's a net positive return, and you have potentially more time with your family, because it's not like you're going to spend after hours doing home inspections, because those probably have certain times of the day that you can do home inspections, right? So that's the way you look at it. Now, to answer your question, how do you handle the mental side of it? I always handle the mental side of it originally with, I know that once I reach the end goal, it's going to be fine. So that helps me manage the immediate issue. But what about the immediate pay decrease I have? Well, you probably don't need to survive the 180,000. The 180,000 you brought in, probably you save some money. So you might not be able to save money for a few months until your income increases as you hire this person, right? So what I like to look at is, what's my monthly budget? And if your monthly budget is, let's say, 10 grand a month, which is a lot, hey, if I can survive off 10 grand a month, that's only 120. I brought in 180. I'm really okay with investing more money in the business to get some higher returns. So maybe I just talk with my wife or my significant other and say, hey, listen, I know that we've been buying Gucci and we just bought a Mercedes and we're taking 4 months a year off and all that, but we're not going to have that disposable income like we had last year, because I want to go ahead and hire some people so we can build the business, and then we can get back to buying all the Louis Vuitton and eating out every single meal and hiring a housekeeper and all that stuff. We'll get back to that, right? So communicate with your partner what you're doing, always good for the home life, and just remember that you probably can survive off less than you made last year, and just recognize emotionally that you're making an investment in the company that's going to pay off to help grow the company and even make more money and work less hours. That's the goal. That's the American dream. Build a company where you make more money and work less hours. How does that happen? Not as a solopreneur. It happens when you build a 7-figure business, $2 million, $4 million, $5 million business, where you've got a team out there working and doing the business, and you're the CEO, managing everybody, giving everybody what they need to succeed, and you're working 15, 20 hours a week if you want to, and making millions of dollars. That's possible. Okay? Hope that helps. All right, that was a long mentor session today. That was 47 minutes. I hope you guys got some value from that. My assistant is on vacation right now, but she will download this video and get it up onto YouTube, and then send it out on the mobile app for you and get your question to you. I'll tag everybody so they know that I did this video today, and I'll tag everybody that had a question so you can watch it. But she's on vacation right now, so she'll get to it and get the question sent out to you on the mobile app when she gets back next week. Hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you soon. Peace out. Where's my mouse? There it is. Come on.